Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do our first film breakdown tonight, looking at the college football playoff quarterfinal between Ohio State and Miami. Before we do that, though, if you'll do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the description of this video, you will also find the links to our Twitter and TikTok accounts, as well as links to follow or subscribe to our podcast on Apple. You can also subscribe to our podcasts on Spotify as well. So, guys, what we're going to do, the way we do these film breakdowns, not going to be something where we do a cut up or clips or certain clips. We're going to go through this game play by play. And we're going to look at Ohio State's offense in their most recent game against Indiana in the Big Ten Championship game. And we're also going to look at Miami's most recent game in the college football playoff first round against Texas A&M. And guys, the reason we're going to look at that is because to me, that's the most intriguing matchup is Ohio State's offense versus Miami's defense in this game. And then when we break down some of the other games, we might do something very similar in terms of which units we're going to look at and be the most focused on. But the biggest thing, guys, is we're looking at ball here, and we're trying to look at kind of what the things are that these teams want to accomplish, how they're trying to attack in Ohio State's perspective here, how they're trying to attack Indiana's defense, and in preparation basically to say how are they going to attack Miami's defense, or how do we anticipate they might attack Miami's defense. And then we'll do the same thing looking at Miami's defense and how we anticipate they're going to try to defend an offense like Ohio State. And so that's what we're looking at. And, we're going to be, going through and try to identify some things for you that both these teams are kind of traits or characteristics of. And, hey, man, this is kind of, this is the reason that we do this. This is the point right here is to look at this stuff and look at this all-22 film. And, the film don't lie. The eye in the sky does not lie. And so that's the draw of doing this. So we'll go ahead and get into this. So looking at here, we got Ohio State, first play on offense of the game. They're in double tight, so two tight ends. They're in diesel formation, so they got a receiver, an X and a Z on each side. And here they're working a little zone concept, right? So they have Jeremiah Smith, quick game down here to the bottom of the screen. And it's kind of interesting here that Julian Sayin decides to throw this football because really it doesn't look like he's got free access to Jeremiah Smith here. I mean, if you tell me right now pre-snap that guy right there is you're going to throw him a hitch, if I'm the quarterback, I don't really love that. But I think they probably knew Indiana's going to play a lot of bump and run coverage. And so say and trust that that's what this is. And he's going to pull that thing and throw it. And guess what? Players overplay, right? Look at Jeremiah Smith when he catches this ball, okay? Sayin puts it right there on the outside shoulder, and his immediate first step is upfield, right? His right foot steps upfield right now. He puts that ball on the outside arm. He uses the inside arm as a weapon. Bam, right there. The stiff arm with the inside hand. Guys, that is textbook wide receiver player out there. Getting upfield vertical immediately on the quick game, using that inside hand as a weapon. And look, he turns this hitch throw into a 13-yard gain on Ohio State's first play of the game. Players, not plays. Right? We can break down this film all we want. If you got number 4 on your team, probably can throw it to them a good bit. So that's what I would do anyway. But I'm not the smartest person in the room ever when it comes to football, but I'm smart enough to know that. So 1st and 10 here on the 25. Ohio State's going this double sniffer look. So what I mean by that, they start out with both sniffers on the left. They shift 88 over, and so now they're in this double sniffer look. Basically, it's almost like some people might call this a diamond formation. If in terminology I'm familiar with, this is called dog, double sniffer look. So Ohio State's working play action right here. Now you can tell this is play action and not an RPO if you look at the offensive line, right? If this were an RPO, they'd be blocking some run concept, but they are actually blocking right here, and they're blocking half slide, half man protection. So what I mean by that is there's a slide side. The center's going to slide right to A. The right guard's going to slide right to B gap, and the tackle has C gap. And then this is the man side. So in a man protection look, the guard's always going to have the interior D lineman, so the D tackle here. Tackle's always going to have the end man line of scrimmage, the defensive end here. And, also here, one reason you get in this double sniffer look is to have extra protection, right? You've got, in Ohio State, it's kind of a staple of their offense and taking deep shots, hard play action, trying to let these receivers get downfield and let the routes develop. Hey, man, they want to have 7 or 8 guys in protection as much as possible. So that gives these guys a chance, these sniffers, to help in protection as well. So go ahead here. Now, Indiana in the back end, they fool Julian Sayin right here. This is the first time they get him. So they show almost that same bump and run, not really. It's sort of a too high look here with 1 and 7 at the safeties, but they definitely don't show cover 2 to the field. I'm not thinking, if I look here, I'm not thinking cover 2 to the field with this safety's alignment. There's no way he should be able to get over the top of number 1 here. But they do a great job of disguising it, and watch what happens. Sayin thinks he's going to have a quick game throw again to Jeremiah Smith right here, and instead he's got cover 2. That corner sitting underneath, and check out number 1, the safety. He's flying over the top to take away anything vertical. That's cover 2 right there. Sayin's holding the ball now. He's got nowhere else to go. He doesn't do a good job here getting on his second progression, or his second read in this progression, which, essentially, it's the dig to Carnell Tate, or these check downs that both tight ends and the running back get into. But essentially, they fool him right here in Indiana. This is one, they're up 1-0 in terms of playing the game here against and fooling Julian Sayin in this football game. So, that's the kind of stuff that Indiana's, they're going to take away Sayin's first read as much as they can in this game. I'm interested to see how much is Miami going to do that stuff, right? How much are they going to disguise in the back end, because they're pretty consistent usually in what they show back there. So here you get another two tight end looks of 12 personnel, if you want to call it that, with 2 tight ends. Now, this is interesting in that this is a closed formation, meaning there's no wide receiver split out here. You've got an X overlook. Jeremiah Smith's the X, and they bumped him over to the right side. And you have a tight end, you have a sniffer split away from him, and Ohio State's going to run counter right here. Now, they've got an RPO tagged quick game. They've got hitches by the X and the Z. Sayin probably really should throw this hitch to Jeremiah Smith here. He's got grass, and really the indicator here is this star, this outside linebacker, is he going to muddy this up and get in this hitch window at all, or is he going to stay close to the box right here? That's really what you're looking at with this play. Now, you can see nothing said. I mean, I think this ball should have went to him, bam, right now. Should have went to Jeremiah Smith. You get that guy catching that football with this leverage and grass. Once again, players, not plays, right? Instead, the handoff counter, and Indiana does a really good job here. Once again, this is 2 plays in a row of looking at, hey, what can you do to kind of counter what Ohio State's best stuff is, what their fastball is. And I really think their fastball, running the football on offense, is running counter, which is this. So you see here, they're running counter. So 77, the right guard, and 86, the tight end, they're going to pull. He's going to pull and try to kick 6, and then the tight end is going to wrap and insert to the second level right here. Now, something really interesting in this play is Indiana forces the run here back inside. So number 6, defensive end, he gets hands on he takes it on with his inside shoulder. He forces it back inside of him. So now the run's going inside of him. Now, the tight end's done a really good job here of climbing to the backside linebacker, number 4. And essentially, there should be nobody here to take on 86, the puller, and make the play. But the corner here, because he didn't have anything to hold him out here passing-wise, he does a really good job of being aggressive. He gets downhill, and he makes a play on this, and he takes on the puller, and essentially he blows this play up with his play right there. So a really good job right there of Indiana kind of scheming up Ohio State's run game and getting an extra hat, bringing the corner in there. Now, here, you kind of look at some of the stuff, Ohio State's running a spacing concept right here. So what I mean by that is they're going to attempt to get some type of curl, and spacing is exactly what it sounds like. It's a concept where you're basically getting a curl flat look. We're going to get a curl of some type here. You're going to get a flat of some type, and you're going to get something to try to clear it out. That's basically the version of there's a lot of different versions of spacing. That's kind of the most basic. Now, what Ohio State's going to do here is run a version where essentially they're going to get the point receiver right here, number 2. He's going to run a sort of an over the ball or mob route, middle of the mandatory over the ball, where he's going to get about 10 yards of depth, and he's going to sit down right over the ball, and then you're going to get your flat, and you're going to get your vertical there. And the quarterback's just going to read it out. He's looking eyes over the ball to his curl by the outside receiver to his flat by the inside receiver. So right here, Saban's working. Once again, you can see his eyes, middle of the field. And honestly, the safety sits on this mob route and makes a really good play and picks this ball off. But I think, Saban's late with this, okay? That's his first read. That guy that he's throwing the ball to is his first read. That ball should be out right now. It's a rhythm throw. It is catch the snap, quick 3. So quick 3 steps in the ground, ball is out if he's open. Right now, he's open, okay? This ball is late. He should go there now. Now, if he's worried at all about this, he should come off of this, and that should be his next look right there, that curl by the outside guy, which could have been there, okay? I think right here, though, he's late with his football, and that is why it's a pick. It's a really good play by the defender, safety right there. I think I remember watching the broadcast of this game, and the announcer said that, they kind of fooled Saban here with the look of the safety, thinking he was going to get depth. But I think the safety's plenty deep here to make this throw. He's just late on this ball. And so, I think that's the kind of thing you can see, Miami trying to do, change up these different looks when it comes to this intermediate to drop back passing game. You saw some instances where Indiana showed something early and then changed the look, on the one clip where they rolled to cover 2, and it fooled Saban. And then here, once again, they really didn't do anything to fool him. He's just late with the ball here. But there's pressure because, to make this throw, because already on this drive, there's been some instances where they're starting to make question his eyes and question his progression a little bit. And this is just a day one install concept here. This is exactly the look you want to throw it against. He's just late with his football. And so if Miami can do similar things and say, get him off of his rhythm, right? Whether it's showing something in the secondary that's different that gets him off his rhythm, whether it's the pass rush, which we know Miami's very capable of, getting him off his rhythm. Stuff like that is what's going to give Ohio State trouble. It's going to make their passing game be less rhythmic, and it's not as easy. Now, we're going to show you a couple clips of Ohio State executing when they are in rhythm and when the defense is not throwing them off, and how dangerous that stuff looks. All right, so we fast forward a couple possessions here. This is the kind of stuff that gives defensive coordinators nightmares about Ohio State's capability on offense. And mentioned in our preview videos on the show that Ohio State is under Ryan Day. They love hard play action, deep shots. And this is exactly the bread and butter of that offense when we talk about that stuff. So, what you're going to see here, once again, you have a 12 personnel look where they can kind of max protect this hard play action, and they're going to get the look they want here to get the ball to number 4, Jeremiah Smith. So, talked about earlier, Indiana's kind of mixing up their looks. So, defensively here, you've got a 2 high shell. You've got another look here where 5, the corner, is kind of showing maybe some bump and run. Maybe he's playing hard cover 2. Yeah, but Ohio State, I think they've seen enough of it at this point that they're taking a shot here with Jeremiah Smith. So, kind of roll the tape here. We see that bump and run. We see the corner get out. But this is a quarters look. And so what you're going to get with this quarters look, basically, guys, downfield, quarters turns into man coverage. And so you've got both corners and both safeties. Essentially, they're playing flat-footed at depth, and they're going to roll on their guy when they see a break, right? So this is a really good play call by Ohio State because, one, it's good against what Indiana's playing here in quarters because they're going to run an out by the tight end, and they're going to run a go by Jeremiah Smith. So they're essentially going to get this sail concept, which is a good cover 2 beater because if the corner turns and runs with Jeremiah Smith, you should have leverage to throw the tight end on the sail. If it's quarters, though, you know you're going to get him cleared out, and you might have a chance to throw the shot to Jeremiah Smith. And if not, once again, you should still have leverage to throw that sail route, that deep out to the tight end here. So that's essentially what you get here. So you have really good protection here, hard play action. They pull the guard. They pull the left guard here. Now, you ask why would they do that? Watch the inside linebackers, okay? Guys, you know that any good linebacker core, they're reading guards. And when you pull a guard and pass pro, it gets those guys to suck up even more thinking it's run, and you get those windows opening up behind them. So that's the reason for doing that. Now, if you watch Jeremiah Smith there, he stems this guy up big time, right? So what I mean by that, when he comes off the ball, watch him attack the corner's outside shoulder. He attacks him and holds him there. I mean, right now, at this point in the route, 5 has no idea where Jeremiah Smith is going. All he knows is he is running right at his outside shoulder. A corner tries to collision him at the top of the route, and this is why number 4 is special right here. He outside releases it. He steps on his toes. Bam, right there. He steps on the corner's toes, and that's the indicator when you're running a go ball, when you're running a fade ball. You attack his outside shoulder, step on his toes, and then you fade and run to open grass. And then obviously the run after the catch, the guy is dangerous. They're over there screaming on the Indiana sideline. Just get him on the ground. Get him on the ground. This is why Ohio State is so dangerous. This is the type of passing game that Miami can play lights out all day long. But they give up a couple of those, and it will be the difference in the football game. And that's why Ohio State is the team to beat in this tournament. And no matter how well we think that Miami might match up with them, nobody can match up well with that when they're executing it. Now, another way that Ohio State can overcome some things in this game is if Julian Sayin can face the pressure that Miami gets on him and still be able to convert, break the pocket, keep his eyes downfield. So you got a 3rd and 8 here in the 4th quarter against Indiana. In Ohio State, all they're trying to work here is they're trying to work a dagger concept. So they've got basically a curl flat to the bottom down here. They've got Jeremiah Smith running the curl, and they've got number 12 underneath running the flat route, right? So all he's trying to do here, Sayin's eyes, he's looking to throw that curl if he likes that curl window. But up top, he's got a dagger concept. So on the dagger concept, all you're going to have is you're going to have a clear out by number 2, and then you're going to have number 1 run that dig from the outside, and all you're really looking for is to hit that dig window, right? That guy's trying to clear the safety out, and you've got the outside receiver trying to run the dig there, and you're trying to hit him on that. So you see Sayin drop back. Protection's decent here. He doesn't like the curl. His eyes never really get to the dig side, but then he does a great job here. Once he gets pressure from his left, he rolls. Carnell Tate does a great job here in the scramble drill. You can watch him once he runs the dig right there. He just mirrors his quarterback downfield, and he makes a great play here. So this is just an example of, Sayin is very capable of making these types of plays with his legs and keeping his eyes downfield, even though Miami might get pressure. So Miami getting pressure is not the be-all, end-all in this game if Sayin can do stuff like that with trying to get the football out. All right, so last series of Ohio State that we'll look at here in their offense. Guys, this is the type of defensive structure you're going to see from Miami in this game. That's a staple of Miami's defense. So this 8-man front, where essentially you're 4 down linemen, you have 2 inside linebackers, your outside backer here, and then your strong safety is going to insert himself down, basically be that 8th defender. You're going to play 1 high. Your corners are going to play man. You're going to play some type of cover 3, some type of bump and run coverage. And I think this is the type of way that you could expect Ohio State to attack it. So you see here, they got Jeremiah Smith on the speed out right here, 4 steps. He's running the curve. He's got leverage underneath. Sayin sees it. The corner's bailing out of there. He kind of shows that same bump and run look we've seen from them a couple times already. And then Sayin's got the ball on time. This is the type of stuff that if Miami's going to play their traditional defense, which matches this similar structure, you're going to see this type of stuff. Because once again, you're weak in the flats. This area out here, outside the numbers that's shallow, you're weak there against this, in this type of look. So I think this is the type of stuff that Ohio State they'll do all night. Now, if you're Miami and you want to keep Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith from taking the ball over the top and big playing you to death, could be the type of defense you want to play where you close that middle of the field where they can't run those deep posts, those deep crossers. You put a safety there, and you force them to throw this underneath stuff all night. And that's what Indiana really did. Those explosives were few and far between because Indiana, they got in and out of stuff and defensive looks. They closed the middle of the field a lot. And really the only thing that Sayin was comfortable throwing all night was that type of stuff, right? The quick game in the flat. Here you see, once again, this is an example of hard play action. In Indiana, they're giving Sayin all types of stuff to look at in the secondary. So they're showing this, this 2 high look, which we've already seen them play cover 3. We've seen them roll to cover 2 to one side. We've seen them play quarters. They have given them all types of look in this game, and they did a really good job of showing Sayin different stuff and kind of keeping him off balance and not ever really letting him get comfortable in terms of what he was seeing back there. And here's the same thing. They do a really good job. Defensive lineman stunts right there, gets into a gap, beats the guard. So Sayin's got pressure in his face immediately. But in the back end, you've got them rolling to show that cover 2 look. And they essentially end up with a safety in the middle of the field, closing the middle of the field where Jeremiah Smith's running the dig here. And then you've got, basically you've got a curl flat vertical switch to the left side here. There's nowhere for Sayin to go with the ball. Sayin does a good job here of just getting out of there, and he completes the ball to Carnell Tate here. So, but once again, just something that Indiana did to show different looks to Sayin. Can Miami do the same? Can they keep him off balance by disguising coverage like Indiana did and not make him comfortable throwing that ball downfield? Here, this is an example of Ryan Day's offense that we've talked about where these big drop backs that take a lot of time to develop. So all this is the old caddy concept, cross, Y cross. So it is actually a Z cross, I guess you could say here. They stack the receivers up top. Cornell takes the Z. They zip him in and snap the football, and he runs the crosser, right? And the old crosser route rules under Sam, over Mike. So all that means is, he's essentially trying to work his release. He's going to get under that outside linebacker, and he's going to try to snap it off and get behind that inside linebacker. Quarterback's reading this thing, whatever he's got over here. It's a curl on this play by Smith, but he's reading this thing 1, 2, and then, you usually have like a backside dig or a post. This the third read on this if you're in some type of big offensive structure like this where you're really only running 3-man route here. So right here, this is a perfect example of, Jeremiah Smith runs the curl, ball's at the 37-yard line. He breaks the curl about the 47, a 20-yard curl, and Sam puts this thing on the money away from the corner. Just a really good throw. And once again, this is the type of things, if you're a defensive coordinator having to face Ohio State, that gives you nightmares. Perfect defense. You get decent pressure on Sam. You hit him. They really hit him right here. They make him pay for this. The coverage is decent, but he puts it on the money. Smith runs a good route. It's a 20-yard play. There's nothing you can do to defend that. And so that's the type of thing that Miami's got to be prepared for, in that this is the very simple football play right here that's been run for a long time in college football. Ryan Day's offense has been running a long time, but executed well by the players and the personnel that Ohio State's got. They're going to move the football with stuff like this unless you can get pressure and show them those different looks that keep Julian Sayin from being confident and throwing the football downfield. Now, flipping over, looking at some of Miami's defense here. We're going to bounce around this Texas A&M game. So you've got to look here. 12 personnel look very similar to some of the looks we saw Ohio State show in the Big Ten title game, where right here, a very basic deal where you've got tight end to the right, sniffer to the left, your X receiver to the left, your Z receiver to the right. Now, that's not so much important. Ohio State showed that look, but defense is what we're looking at, right? And I mentioned that 8-man front that Miami likes to play that we saw from Indiana sometimes, right? And so you've got your 4 down, your 2 inside linebackers, your outside linebacker to the field, and then you've got essentially your strong safety here cheating down at the box. He's really becoming your 8th defender, right? So you got 8 guys here. You're playing 1 high. You're playing some type of man or cover 3 in the back end, and this is what Miami likes to do. So kind of going, just rolling the film here and letting you watch that. You see that safety inserting down into the box there. He's a hard run player already. He is not worried about pass at all, and you can see your cover 3 look here. Both your corners have zone eyes here. What I mean by that is their eyes. You can tell by the stripe on 6's helmet, his eyes are on the quarterback. You can tell up here, this corner, same thing. That's a dead giveaway. If they're looking at the quarterback like that inside and not on a man out here, they've got zone eyes. They're playing some type of zone coverage, which is cover 3 right here. And you can see this is just a good look at what Miami tries to do. This is what they want to be in. And we saw Indiana have success closing the middle of the field with that 1 high safety and getting hands on those receivers and trying to get pressure on the quarterback and take away those deep shots that basically Ohio State really depends on the middle of the field being open on a lot of those. Next play, very similar look, right? And here, you're getting some type of basically a cloud cover 3. So what I mean by that is now instead of the safety getting down into the box, your corner is going to play hard, flat coverage right here underneath. Safety's going to get back to the deep third, but you've still got a safety in the middle of the field playing that third, corner up top with zone eyes playing deep third. You've got a cover 3 look. It's just now it's cloud because you got a hard corner. Cloud, corner, That's kind of the terminology behind that defense. And all you see here, Texas A&M's trying to work a curl flat look. It's there. Marcel Reed just misses the throw, right? It's high and outside. But there's your look. And you can kind of see here, this is that Miami pass rush, that Mesidor and Bain. Watch them work against these tackles here. Look at their hands. I mean, they are freaking working in that. Reed is getting that ball out on rhythm. I mean, his back foot hits the third step. He's getting it out. But they're already collapsing that pocket. They're already getting there. You look at the back angle here. You can see just how physical those dudes are. Look at Bain's hands on the right. He is getting 60's hands off of him while he's still attacking. Mesidor, same way. He hits, 78 gives him his chest, and he just punches him. I mean, the hands and the technique those guys use is unreal, and how they rush the quarterback. Same thing here. You got sort of your 8-man front. They're working a bunch deal up here, so they've got their bunch check, the corner, the strong safety there, the freeze right in the middle of the field. They're going to take the middle of the field away. Now, this is the one element that Marcel Reed had in this game that, I don't think you're going to see as much in the Cotton Bowl from Julian Sands. It's just not his game. Sands mobile and can move, but he is not a scrambler in the same way that Marcel Reed is. And see Reed here, he's up top. He's trying to read out, this basically a double dig in a whip concept up top. He doesn't like what he sees, and he's getting out of there. Moving ahead a little bit, this clip right here, this just shows you the kind of athleticism that Miami has, the physicality they can play with on defense when they have that peak A game. And so right here, you have Texas A&M. They've got bunch formation into the boundary up top. They're trying to get numbers to throw a quick screen up there. They do. Watch the close defenders there of Miami in the corner, and your linebacker, your outside backer taking on those blocks. And then check out your D lineman. Check out your inside backer 31. Check those guys out flying to the football and getting white hats to the football. Like that right there is, that's very, very difficult to play offense against a defense that's going to get after it like that right there. It's going to be as physical as they are up front. And then when you try to work the perimeter game on them, they care enough to get after it like that and get 11 hats to the ball. Like that's a staple of this Miami defense when they're at their peak. And I think that's something that if Ohio State is forced to work quick game and perimeter stuff where they can't work their over-the-top explosive pass game, then that's something they're going to have to deal with and contend with. They're going to have to be physical out there and match Miami's physicality. All right, right here, you've got these dudes up front by Miami just making a play here. So Texas A&M is going, in my terminology or terminology I'm familiar with, this is Tulsa. So you've got trips to the right with a tight end away from them to the left, okay? Very good formation. Love this formation. And what Texas A&M is trying to do here, they're working a little counter scheme, and the guard and tackle are pulling, so it's counter tray. They're going to both pull to the left. The quarterback here, Marcel Reed, I really think the back is on the wrong side here. I think this is a bust because he's reading this. Marcel Reed is reading this, and essentially what this would be is a bash play. So the back would go away from the called side, right? So in a bash play, if you had your guard is going to kick, your tackle is going to pull and wrap, and you're going to read the end man on the line of scrimmage. Your back is, in this instance, they would be tossing it to him. He'd probably be over here to the right of the quarterback. He's running, you getting perimeter blocks here, okay? And all Marcel Reed would do is read the defensive end here. If the defensive end plays the back, Reed's going to pull it and follow his guard and tackle and run that play. If the guard or if the end squeezes and plays inside and doesn't take the back, he's going to toss it to the back, and they got numbers out here on the perimeter. That's what I believe they have set up here. But it looks like this is a bust because the back's on the wrong side. So back should really be on the right. You can see Marcel Reed here when he takes a snap. Like he's, you know, he can tell something's not right there by his footwork. There's nothing to hold Ruben Bain there, who's unblocked. And they just eat Marcel Reed up here. I mean, once again, you can tell, watch Zero there. Watch how quick those guys are getting to the football. Zero comes all the way from star position from the field and makes the play and forces the fumble into the boundary on the other side, just getting after it, just flat playing like their hair's on fire. And that's, once again, that's peak Miami. When we talk about Miami having the recipe to win this game, having the personnel to win this game, that's what we're talking about right there. We know that the pass rush is there. We know those guys, we've seen them all year, they can get after it. But the pure physicality on the perimeter, and then this just straight getting after it and out-athleting people and running sideline to sideline, and shutting down perimeter game and shutting down quick game, shutting down perimeter run. Like, that's the type of stuff that is elite defense. And, you know, I think if Miami's going to win this football game, then they're going to play elite defense. And that's an example of what it would look like right there. So next drive right here. Now, this is Miami playing more of a too-high look. You can see here, you know, they've widened out. You know, they're basically playing what I would call 4-3. They got a Mike linebacker in the box. The Sam and the Will linebackers are split out, and you're playing too high here. You're basically playing, and this is probably more of like their doubles look. Texas A&M is in a doubles look here, and so they're going to hip those guys out and match those numbers on the perimeter, and they're going to play with 5 men in the box. Basically, they're going to play with a light box, and this is what happens when we play with a light box. Sometimes A&M's just running, it's really sort of a zone scheme, zone right. You can tell the way the guard and tackle to the right step to the right, they leave the backside end unblocked, and the back hits it to the right downhill, and they have a decent little play there. I don't think this is Miami's game, and I don't think you'll see them in this a bunch, but for that reason. I think they like to get bodies towards the line of scrimmage. They like to get pressure and show that pressure to the line of scrimmage up front. All right, so this is a great clip to kind of show and end on here and kind of how the game could shake out and how these matchups really could look. So you've got Texas A&M here. They're in 11 personnel. So they've got the sniffer here as your tight end. They're going to work a drop back concept where they're trying to work a deep double post concept. Okay, so you're going to get, you're going to get a post by both these receivers over here. Okay, some version of a post, double post, and you're going to get a deep crosser underneath from the other side. This is a staple of Ryan Day's offense at Ohio State. Ohio State loves this play. I guarantee you this will be in their game plan against against Miami. And this is an example of how Miami might combat that. So Miami here, they're going to show Marcel Reed a little bit different picture than they've shown in most of the game here. So it looks like their normal deal. 4 down, the 2 backers in the box, the safety up top. He's rolling down and he's playing his normal, filling the box. But instead of filling the box this time, he's blitzing, right? And so I'm going to kind of play this a couple times through. You see your double post concept down here, right? Both these guys are running post, and they're trying to clear out the space for that crosser. And you can kind of see this is the space they want, right? This is what they're trying to work to over here. And it's beautiful. The only problem is quarterback's on his back, and he's having to get rid of the football because of what happens up front with the pressure. I'm going to go ahead and show you the back copy here of what happens. this is one of those deals where, Mesidor, Bain, those guys up front, it's just really, really hard to block them. And the tackles, Texas A&M had a rough day the other day in this football game. So you see here, you got your end there, number 3. He works a hard stunt inside of the tackle, and then you've got your safety blitzing one-on-one with that tight end and the tackle. He goes for that first move inside right there, and then he sticks his foot in the ground and swim moves over, and tackle he has no chance. And Reed, he doesn't even have a chance to get his eyes downfield before they're in his lap, and he's getting rid of this football on a key down. And this is the type of stuff that Ohio State's going to have to deal with. This is a staple of their offense that Texas A&M is trying to run right here, and Miami's just blowing it up with one guy basically winning a one-on-one matchup up front. And so that's why, if you're Ohio State, this is a scary football game for you, because everything that your program is built on, your team offensively is built on, Miami can stop it and disrupt it with one or two guys up front. And we've shown you some examples of how Indiana disrupted Ohio State. I think Miami has just as much, maybe even more ability to disrupt Ohio State's offense and give them these kinds of fits. And so this is one of the reasons I anticipate this football game to just be an absolute war, and I'm very excited to watch it because of the X's and O's. So guys, once again, that's our film preview of the Cotton Bowl, and I hope that you got a lot out of that, and it is as much fun for you as it is for me watching these two teams, these two units in Ohio State's offense and Miami's defense work, and kind of how they work, what they want to do, things that give them trouble. Because when we watch the football game Wednesday night, those are the things we're going to see. So once again, guys, appreciate you being here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and TikTok. And you guys have a great night.